welcome to Amber Dazzle Show. With me, I have the lovely ladies here. Lovely Amber, dazzling as always, and Miss Preet, rocking as always.
Yeah.
So good to have you guys with us. And today we are going to be talking about another fun segment, yet something, of course, to learn from it at the end. So,
are you thinking about what I'm thinking, Monica?
I think we are thinking the same because smart minds think alike.
Yes, and you have seen a lot lately that I've been putting some clips on the social media about me playing basketball. So what do you think? How do I look?
You look
she playing
great.
basketball and she's always on the fitness center,
I know. So
always on the fitness center.
We always see the check-ins into the, let's not name the gym. And, then we see the basketball. So, it's fantastic. I've never played and I don't think I have even the height to be able to jump that high and make it to the
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right?
Really?
No. I think you can be any height and stature to play basketball, but I'm only doing it for the reasons of physical activity.
Sure.
It gives me so much satisfaction when I invest those 45 minutes intense running around and shooting hoops. And I feel like I'm getting better, don't you think?
Yes, you lost a lot of weight, Amber.
I was impressed.
Thank you. And
you have lost a lot of weight.
It has helped me a lot to control like my carbs, my appetite.
Oh, sure.
And I think, with getting my heart rate up, it has also given me like how to control those hunger pangs and stuff. So I think any kind of physical activity, sports really helps you, and we should motivate our kids too, right, Monica?
Absolutely. As we know, the kids do as they see. So, they're going to watch you.
True.
And they're going to want to be
And Amber, since
so.
you have a teenager boy, I have a teenager boy, so I'm sure they must be involved some kind of sports, right?
Yes,
they must
and
be playing in the school.
Ali played football for the longest time, and we really enjoyed it. But at the same time, we have to also encourage our kids to go out, on a sunny day, and we take them out to the park.
They should not be sitting indoor and playing on their iPads,
Video games.
Yeah, I don't
all
know
day.
if growing up for us, we used to actually make our own games to play outside the house because there were no iPads.
There were no iPads,
there
no
were
phones,
only these comic books if we at all liked to read, which I wasn't one of the ones who enjoyed reading. But yeah, so I remember just getting out and actually getting dirty and playing. And kids nowadays, either they're not allowed or they just don't know how to do that.
So I was just telling you about the outdoor games and why they're more important than the indoor games, physically, mentally, everything, because indoor games, you're just limited to the iPads, phones, or
video games,
video games, or the TV, which is not very healthy, not all the time,
just a simple activity, back in those days when you used to simply fly a kite.
Kites,
when the wind will blow and you take a kite to the park, rollerblading, taking your kids out for bike riding. I mean, any kind of activity that you can encourage
badminton,
them
cricket, whatever.
Anything, like even enrolling them in tennis.
Sure.
So physical activity, any sports, keep your heart rate up. So it's awesome, I feel.
Yes, and I think you start kids early. It gets better for them because not only they get used to it, but they start to enjoy it and they get to actually pick what they want. You may start them with tennis and they ended up playing basketball and they love that more. Doesn't matter, as long as there's some kind of physical activities going on.
I know.
That's all we need.
And indoor, they don't get tired easily, okay? Mentally, maybe yes, physically they don't. So outdoor they go, they play, they sweat, and they get tired and they sleep well,
and also like you were mentioning, our teenage kids, like my son, he gets so much homework, he gets overloaded with homework. He literally does not get time
to go
on a weekday because he's doing homework sometimes till 12 p.m. in the night.
Yes.
Because you're in
Same
11. So what do you do for kids like that?
Yes.
I will tell you what to do. Just buy a set of dumbbells and give it to them, and every time they take breaks between homework, encourage them to do some biceps, some triceps, some squats, and in that way they keep active in their mind and they have a healthy body and mind, to do even exercise those homework. So very important, keep that level of activity up.
I have this hoverboard, at home. So my kids are like all the time on the hoverboard.
I'm scared of hoverboards.
Yes,
all the time. I know it's a very dicey thing. Only people who know how to do it, they should be there. Otherwise, it's just like a skateboard.
A hoverboard, right?
Yeah, hoverboard. So my kids, they're always there. It's very dicey though. I'm just letting you know, Amber. Do not try it
at your own risk.
I would not get on a hoverboard even if you give me thousands of dollars because I'm so scared.
Same here.
Yeah, you have to be master in the game,
Right,
you have to be master in the game. So guys,
getting our kids tired, one thing that has always helped me or worked for me is swimming. So that's another thing.
Swimming is a
they
great
go
sport.
for swimming for an hour and they come home and they crash.
You know, Monica, you should have swum when you were young. You should, right now, she should be about 5'7", you know, should have swum at the little,
really?
yeah, because swimming makes your height grow.
Oh,
it does.
Where
Do you
were
agree with
you?
it?
Okay, let's not pick on each other's heights, Preet. Okay, so signing off. Thank you again, and stay tuned. Watch us again next week. I'm your host, Amber, and
Monica.
again,
And Preet here.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take
ciao.
care.
Hi, welcome back viewers on Health and Wellness segment with Dr. Shabnam on Amber Dazzle Show. And today is my favorite gastroenterologist, Dr. Balu Chandra on our sets with us. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Shabnam.
Thank you, Dr. Chandra. So Dr. Chandra is a gastroenterologist who specializes in the liver disease. He's a fellow of AGA, chief of staff at North Hills Hospital, and a top doc in 2019 Fort Worth magazine. So, Dr. Chandra, since you specialize in the liver disease, we would like to talk about liver today. And another important condition that we see in our practice as a family physician is hepatitis. So, you want to let us know what is hepatitis?
Thank you, Dr. Shabnam. It's a very important topic. Hepatitis in general, hepa is liver, itis is inflammation. So the literal explanation for hepatitis is inflammation in the liver. But in general, hepatitis can be from, the inflammation in the liver can be from several causes, whether it is a viral cause, which is the most common cause we're referring to when we say hepatitis. There are other etiologies, is autoimmune disorder, where your own body and antibodies that your immune system makes attacks your liver, storage disorders, drug-induced, alcohol-induced, and so many others. But in general, when somebody talks about hepatitis, we're talking about one of the viruses that causes the hepatitis.
So hepatitis commonly, like you said, is an infection of the liver, is called hepatitis, but of course there are other minor etiologies as well. So what are the types of hepatitis that you see in our practice?
In general, we have 5 kinds of viruses that cause hepatitis. There are other smaller viruses that's not hepatitis viruses, which also can cause liver inflammation. But the top 5 are your A, B, C, D, and E. A and E are foodborne. That is, usually comes from an infected food or water resource. This usually happens in countries with poor sanitation, poor access to good water and things like that. Of that, hepatitis A is one of the very common in this part and in South Asia. We diagnose probably worldwide about 1.5 million hepatitis A cases. Hepatitis E, on the other hand, though, is much more common. Patients don't realize that they had a hepatitis. Hepatitis A, most people present with jaundice. Hepatitis E, they may or may not. Hepatitis E actually is higher. It's about 3.5 million cases, but most of them are subclinical. They just have like a virus fever. Hepatitis E is a bad disease to have in pregnant women. So they can develop acute fulminant hepatic failure, hepatitis E. So hepatitis A is something comes from water. So if you're traveling to high endemic areas, you as viewers, they need to be immunized for hepatitis A.
That's wonderful. What about hepatitis B and C? Want to tell us
So
about
hepatitis
that?
B and C is also a big problem, and a lot of these patients with hepatitis these kind of hepatitis go on to develop chronic liver disease. They are the ones we end up seeing in our practice. Hepatitis B can be either both hepatitis B and C comes from an infected blood or a body fluid contact. And it can be transmitted from intravenous drug use, blood transfusion prior to 1992, where we didn't have extensive screening. It can be sexually transmitted, but hepatitis B is also known to have vertical transmission, especially in Southeast Asia. A lot of the children get their infection from the mother when they're born, or they get it during their first year, and then they continue to have chronic hepatitis. Hepatitis B and C can also be acute hepatitis. About 15 to 20% of them get rid of the hepatitis C, and the other 80 to 85% go on to develop chronic disease. Hepatitis B, on the other hand, is completely opposite. Most adults who get acute hepatitis B recover from it. Only about 15% can grow on to develop chronic hepatitis.
So I'm understanding that hepatitis C goes on to become chronic in a lot of conditions. So it is actually very important to prevent hepatitis C, because also we do not have any vaccination against hepatitis C. And it is also most likely the mode of transmission for hepatitis C is most likely the sexual transmitted disease, as a sexually transmitted disease. So that also is an important factor.
You're right. Hepatitis C in the US we have about 4 to 5 million people infected. And the most common mode of transmission in the Western world is through intravenous drug use.
Okay.
Hepatitis C, unfortunately, has been underdiagnosed. A lot of patients have gone on because they're all asymptomatic, and by the time they present to us, they usually have some form of a liver damage, whether it's fibrosis or cirrhosis. The good news about hepatitis C is we have wonderful treatments available.
Exactly.
It's a finite treatment. It's 8 to 12 week oral treatment, very little side effects, and they do very well with those treatments. You're right, the hepatitis C does not have any vaccine. On the other hand, for hepatitis B, there's excellent vaccines, and most people born after 1992 are immunized for hepatitis B, but the ones before that are not immunized. CDC has actually made a recommendation at the cohort who were born between the ages of 1945 and 1965 to be screened for hepatitis C, which most physicians are nowadays doing that.
Okay. So hepatitis B and hepatitis C or hepatitis A, what are the complications once you get the hepatitis infection? What are the complications we can anticipate?
Hepatitis A, most patients recover from it. There's no chronic hepatitis A. Hepatitis E is the same thing. On the other hand, hepatitis B and C itself are risk factor for liver cancer. And it also produces fibrosis, and ongoing fibrosis can lead to cirrhosis, and cirrhosis also becomes a second factor for development of hepatocellular carcinoma or liver cancers. So one needs to be screened for liver cancer, especially if they have fibrosis or advanced cirrhosis. So that's the biggest thing. So for example, for hepatitis C patients with no cirrhosis, once you do the treatment, the liver gets better. They don't need long-term follow-up. But the same patient, if they have underlying cirrhosis to begin with, they need to be screened for ultrasound and a blood test for liver tumor markers every 6 months or so.
So given the fact that these are chronic diseases and can lead to cancer and complications in the future, there has to be some prevention strategies. And what do you want us to know about how we can prevent from having hepatitis, and if there are any vaccinations available for these hepatitis?
That's a very good question. Hepatitis A and B are easily preventable. It's just 3 doses of the vaccines, usually given on a 0, 1, and a 6-month duration. There are combinations for hepatitis A and B available, especially if you're traveling to endemic areas. It's better to make sure you're immunized for hepatitis A. And hepatitis B, general population, the risk of transmission is low, but young adults and promiscuous activities, they need to be very careful, and we recommend everybody to be immunized for hepatitis B. This is the only way we can eradicate hepatitis B from this world. Hepatitis C, there's no treatment, but common sense preventive methods no intravenous drug use. If they do use drugs, they have to make sure they're not sharing needles and things like that. Blood transfusion currently is very well screened, so the risk of transfusion is very low. Small risk in dialysis patients, but otherwise the risk is low.
So what I'm hearing is that, again, my passion and advice to all my patients is always prevention is better than cure, and so is true for hepatitis. If we can prevent hepatitis, then we do not have to worry about treating it and worrying about the complications. Thank you so much, Dr. Chandra, for enlightening our viewers with the great information, great knowledge, and see you all next week with another honorable guest and a great topic to talk about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shabnam. Thank you all.
Hello everyone, welcome to my show. Today I have with me my guest, lovely Meenakshi Sharma. Meenakshi, how are you doing?
I'm doing so wonderful, gorgeous Amber. I just love to call you gorgeous Amber.
Oh, that's really sweet and kind of you, but you're gorgeous yourself.
The second word which comes in my mind when I look at you is a positive Amber.
Thank you. I try to be positive most of the days in my life, but you haven't seen me on my negative days, Meenakshi. But anyway, so Meenakshi, what are we going to be discussing today? What is the topic?
The topic I would love to talk about is I am limitless.
I am limitless. Yes. Very in depth.
Yeah, very in depth. Because we always take us granted. We cannot do this, and we frame ourselves. We put ourselves in a box. This is my life, this is me, this is who I should be called, and they limit themselves, they deficient themselves by calling themselves, okay, and they tag themselves, okay, this is I'm it. No, you are beyond to that thing. You are beyond to that box, you are beyond that life, and you are a traveler, and you have been. It is going to talk about it today.
Beautiful, Meenakshi. So when we say I am limitless means there should be no boundaries of expression of freedom, right? And there should be, and as a creative author and writer, like I've seen your articles, that's what you advocate many times, that how a person should be free to express. So is that what your philosophy is about, being limitless? Are those on the lines of that?
No, this is freedom of definitely expression is something different. This is, yes, freedom of expression is definitely different than we call or we tag ourselves. I'll give you one example. When I started doing blogging, when I started doing articles for a magazine, first the articles came for Soul Talk.
Okay.
I only spoke about soul lives, soul eternity, soul journeys. That was it. at certain point of time, people started calling me, okay, she always talk about spiritual things.
Oh, okay. And that's when you, I guess, started thinking that you need to expand your horizon. Am I?
Yes. If you are an author, if you are a human being, and if you are a creative person, you can write on anything.
Exactly.
And being a creative artist, like you have just, so nice of you that you always call me a creative artist. Creativity has no limitations.
That is so true. Thank you for telling our viewers that, because a lot of times people don't understand and ask me the same question that, Amber, how do you manage a TV show along with a cosmetic brand, and how do you go about, and you're so socially involved in the community as well. So how do you happen to balance it all? And I always tell them, you know, any kind of creative expression, whether it is a charity cause, a social cause, or even you know, selecting my colors for my brand, or bringing fine content to the television out there, you know, and telling viewers about so many different aspects: health, nutrition, fitness, spirituality. Meenakshi, I always tell them that this is what creative expression is, because if you are not expressing yourself in a positive way, basically you're not alive.
Yes.
Am I not correct?
Yes, absolutely. Because see, you yourself is a creative person, so you will think, okay, so there are different parts of creativity. You can be author, you can be painter, you can be artist, you can be a social influencer. Basically, limitation or limitless is you are a beautiful creation of this universe, and you have to tap into yourself. That's always I always talk about it. You know, I'll give you a recent example. At one point of time, I was very active on social media. People are very self-obsessed now, being, you know, always on the social media, taking selfies.
I hope that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yes, it's a good thing. But you know, somewhere they are putting themselves and they are showing the world, okay, we are happy, we are this and we are this. What about
I hope most of them are, actually, though.
Yes. So what about their true being self?
Yeah, because we don't know, like the pictures you portray on social media are always the true depiction of people's feelings.
Yes,
Isn't
absolutely.
that correct?
So see, this also I will say something else. For you, I know, Amber, like you love to, like you post on social media, that is your expression of your feelings.
Okay.
You know, I'll tell you about myself. There was some point of time when I used to be on social media, I used to take validation from people.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is, if I post, there was a time when I got pregnant with my second baby. Before her, I was so much involved in social media, being a radio talk host, being...
Obviously, you are in the media personality, so of course you have to be.
Yeah, so as soon as I was progressing towards my pregnancy, when I was going to a 9-month, a separate type of anxiety was coming into my mind. You know, what if my baby is born, and what if I am not on the social media? People will forget me. That where I put myself in a box. I was taking validation from people. Okay, this is it. If Meenakshi is on social media, she's been seen, you know, and social media was my limitation. No. If I'm a creative person, if I'm a limitless person,
then you don't need that validation.
You don't need that validation.
You need to have that inner peace in you.
Yes.
You need to find that inner satisfaction.
Yes.
And you can express it in so many ways, Meenakshi, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the second thing, you know, there are different points. First of all, people are so stuck in their culture. They are so stuck from like the upbringing they are born in the family. They have cultural limitations. They have country limitations. They have after marriage limitations. Okay, this is it. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. First, you need to understand that you are limitless. As a soul, you are beyond all these things.
You need to feel free.
You need to feel free.
But see, Meenakshi, that's where sometimes I think there is a lot of time when people want to freely express themselves and the surrounding factors don't allow them.
Yes, absolutely.
You must have noticed that too. Like a lot of times, like even as a mom, there's so many things that you might want to do, but with a newborn baby, you're unable to do so,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because that is that time in your life in which you have to pay attention to your child. A lot of women come up to me that, oh, so you have started this business and now you're establishing this business, and why did you not do it before? Because see, I guess there's a time in everybody's life where they need to sit back, and understand what's important to them.
Yes.
And to be limitless, as you said, to free yourself and to be able to express, there's always the correct time. But that doesn't mean you can't do it at any age.
Yes.
You can do it at any age in any form, right?
Yeah. So the thing is limitation, when you start feeling that you have to feeling that you have to be a best version of yourself, but with a deep healing, with a compassion and with a patience. You cannot be just go around and okay, I want this, I want this. There's always a certain time. And for your soul journey, there always been lessons that you will learn on time. There are certain tasks that you will do on time. You know, what I feel, Amber, I am more successful after my baby. You know,
Beautiful, yes.
Why? Because see, I put myself in a box. And there was a time, okay, I cannot go out because my baby is born.
Too small and
Too
you don't
small.
want to probably leave him, yes.
I started believing, I surrender to universe. You know, I said, I'm beyond this. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a friend. I am limitless. There are a lot of things that I want to do. And I surrendered myself to the universe and I asked, you know, I want to be seen and and then I started writing, you know. I was
And
not
that's how I got to know you.
Yes. That's why, that is, I limited myself.
And in case our viewers don't know, Meenakshi is an amazing blogger on Amber Dazzle Cosmetics page on our website, amberdazzle.com.
Yeah.
And you can follow her blogs almost every other week.
Yes, and see the Amber, the thing after this Amber Dazzle came to my life, Soul Talk happened because I was writing a spirituality thing. Looking at you, I said, why not I can write about cosmetic? I'm a writer, I can write about anything. And
beauty has itself
Yes.
has its own expression.
So what I did not put limitations on me.
That's
And I'm sure after this there will
be
certain
more opportunities.
platform for me, you know. So I'm limitless.
Very nice.
I cannot be stopped. I have more enormous universe inside me.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you so much. So well said. And like Meenakshi said, the only person who puts restriction on you is you yourself. Yes. You need to free your mind, your body, and your soul in life. In order to achieve anything, you need to feel free and have that ability to freely express yourself. Don't be ever afraid to take any risks. Don't be afraid to soar high like the falcon. Thank you, Meenakshi Sharma. You're watching us on our show. Follow us and subscribe to our YouTube page, The Amber Dazzle Show. Thank you.
The preceding was paid program paid by Amber Dazzle. Promotional consideration is paid by following advertisers.